suicide. I want to talk about it. I've been hearing it just come up way too much nowadays. And I know this ain't nothing new. I know this suicide has been around since the beginning of existence. I feel like I'm personally qualified to speak about this because I've experienced it though. Like I wanted to commit suicide at an early age. I'm 26 now. I remember, maybe from age 16 to maybe 19, that was probably the peak for me personally. So my last few years of high school, and then going out into the real world and just living life, looking for a job and living that normal life. That was the peak of my depression. So from 2012, 2014 was the peak of my depression and just every day just being a suicidal type day for me. Like I mean, my family might have never known. For a lot of them, this might be the first time they ever heard that. If anybody listening, but yeah, I just at one point I thought like it was. I felt like it was the norm. Like I mean, I just thought that was just what life was about. Just being suicidal. But that's how submerged I was in it, right? And when you're so submerged in something, you don't even realize it's there. Like a fish don't even know it's in water. Like it's just I'm just here. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, I've been hearing this word come up a lot, and I just want to talk about from a personal standpoint what drove me to that place, right? Um, During my deepest, darkest, most depressed days, I had absolutely no purpose, zero purpose whatsoever. And for anybody that think purpose is something special or something God given or something divine, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You're not special because you have a purpose. You don't find it in the sky or it don't come to you in a dream. Whatever the fuck. Um, Life has no purpose. And that might be a controversial topic for a lot of people, but the only purpose that it has is the purpose you give it, right? So that's liberating, and for a lot of people, it might be bad news. But think about it: you can pick your purpose while you're here, and there's no preordained destiny for you to follow. So, for me personally, whenever I was in that depressed state, in that depressed just atmosphere, just aura that made me want to commit suicide, I realized that I can only experience depression here and now, right? As much as I, know it hurt it, I can't feel it. You know what I mean? I can't just make that pain jump from the past and get inside my body and make me feel it again. I remembered it was just painful. Um, and that's another thing about depression. You can't experience it in the past. You can't experience it in the future. It's only here and now. So the only time you can experience depression here and now, even if you're one of those depressed people, be real for a minute. You're not considering the enormous opportunity that life has already presented to you. Let's say you was born 50 years ago. What's that? Was that like what 2070? I mean 1970. Brain fart. 50 years ago, he was born in 1970, right? There was no real opportunity for you to be all that you can be in 2019 today. So when I say that, I mean just like the opportunity just wasn't as enormous as it is right now to like, have a passion and then go right after that passion. Like our parents and grandparents, they had to work jobs, and when they came home, they had to go to sleep and get up and do it again, and maybe provide for children or maybe depend on the government. But that lifestyle is fading away. It's leaving. Us millennials, we just our lives just changing. We're taking it to a different level here. So I don't want to get too far off the topic of depression, but I said that to say that you know you can only experience depression when you're not considering the enormous opportunity that's in front of you. You're born if you were born here in America, that's luck. Not everybody was born in America. It's only 330 million people here in America. So if there's only 330 million people here, then that means there are multiple billions of people in other countries that's doing way worse than us here in America. I don't give a fuck if you just homeless sleeping on the corner and shit. I know a lot of homeless people that's been out there for years, 10 plus. But that mean life can't be all that bad if you can be have nothing and still survive and be straight. You know what I mean? Because like I said, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, or in another country somewhere, you might not have the same luxury. You know what I mean? So the world is a place today where you're not gonna starve to death if you're homeless. You know, a lot of us have these false ideologies about things that happen. If we make certain decisions, but you're not gonna starve to death. You know, this is America. We throw away more food than we can even consume. We have the highest obesity rate on the planet. So that's not an issue. Um, if you have access to the internet, then there really ain't no excuse for you, you know, as a person out there struggling with nothing, no friends, no resources, no influence. You have access to the internet. I don't give a fuck who you are, and you can find you a phone somewhere. But I say that to say just how lucky we are. And the only time I've ever felt any type of depression is when I was completely unaware of the fact. And honestly, I would say I would be bold enough to say that depression comes from a selfish place. Because when I'm depressed, I'm not thinking about my family. I'm not thinking about all of those people out there that's actually suffering a lot worse than I am. I might be upset I had a bad day. A client yelled at me or some shit. But would you rather have a client yell at you or get your fucking arm ripped off? Or find out your mama just got into a car accident and she gone? You know what I mean? Like, what? Put shit into perspective. You know what I mean? So, like I said, depression comes from a selfish place anyway. For you to be depressed, it means in this moment, here and now, you're not even considering the other billions of people that's out there in the world experiencing life just as you are. So that's one thing that I had to understand and realize, that, you know, it's not all about me. And when life stopped being all about you, you realize you start to experience, I'm not gonna say zero depression, but a whole hell of a lot less depression, right? So I realized it wasn't all about me. So I realized I had to include other people in my vision, and just ultimately what I want to accomplish is not just for me. It's also for the people that I love, and maybe people that I don't even know. The fact that I put out content, I'm able to impact people I don't even know. That's awesome right there. You know what I mean? To be able to do that, be able to put out this content, this podcast, and just speak my truth, and hopefully give somebody some value. You know, that's a blessing to me. And when I'm realizing how much of an enormous opportunity slash blessing that really is, that literally leaves no room for me to be depressed. Why would I want to fucking commit suicide? Right? And so maybe I need to go a little bit deeper, man, because I really want to be empathetic for the people who are in that space, in that dark place, because, man, nothing but time can get you out of it. Time and a deep understanding of what the fuck is actually happening on Earth. And when you really assess what's happening on Earth, 99.9% of the problems you have don't fucking matter. Because it's bigger shit to deal with, bigger fish to fry, right? So understand that, man. I know, you can't just snap your fingers and just be done with it, but whatever the situation is, it needs to be addressed. Whatever is causing this depression, whatever is clouding your mind, and not making it visible, the fact that you have an incredible opportunity in front of you to be all that you can be. Whatever that is, you need to confront it, like right now, like ASAP. Like, I would say a lot of my teenage years was, I didn't feel like I was accepted enough. Being overweight, not being good with girls, that shit made me feel like I just was not accepted. Never, you know what I mean? Even my big brother, when I was younger, he used to make me feel extremely inferior. You know what I mean? He used to put me down in front of his friends, and for a long time growing up, I just believed I just wasn't shit. And as much as I love my brother, he probably don't even know how much of a role he played in my depression, in me feeling like I wasn't accepted. But I can't blame him for that. I can't hold that against him. You know what I mean? Because I'm of the mindset, and this is a very empowering mindset, that everything is my fault. Like, it's my fault I was born into this family. It's my fault I'm black. You know what I mean? Like, it's my fault I'm broke. Like, this shit is my fault. And that's the most empowering mindset that you as an individual can possibly take. Because when you take that approach and you realize ain't nobody else to point the finger at, then you can address the real issue, which is ultimately you at the end of the day. It's you. It's not your mama. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your boss. It's you. You are the problem. Figure out where the hell you went wrong. Right your wrongs. If you're in chapter 3 of your life right now, forget about the previous 3 chapters and start focusing on chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, because what's behind you is there. It's written. It's done. So, find you a purpose. Like, I realize the only thing that keeps me motivated is my purpose. the purpose that I've chosen for myself. 'Cause like I said, life has no purpose except the one you give it. I understand what gives me the most fulfillment as a human being. What gives me the most fulfillment, nothing matches this feeling, not even sex. What gives me the most fulfillment is being able to enlighten other people, right? Being able to have extremely inspiring conversations with other human beings and just feel that energy between the two of you when you've been able to do that for somebody. Maybe you've never had that experience, or maybe you have, and if you have, then you know exactly where I'm coming from. It's no better feeling than that, man. You could just sleep so good just knowing you just did something for somebody else. It wasn't about you in the moment, you know what I mean? But you just impacted their life forever. Like, anybody who knows me, man, just y'all, oh, you know how fucking high that shit makes. Like, I'm getting fired up thinking about, like, all the people that I'm gonna get to impact in the next 10, 20, 30 years, you know what I mean? So it's like, when you have that mindset, an unselfish mindset, ain't no room for thoughts of suicide. Ain't no room for depression. That shit can't get to you, bro. I understand that life it's all mental. It's all here. The whole fucking shit is here. And if you don't understand that concept now when I say it's here, I'm sorry. You will one day. And maybe that day will come after you died. Hopefully not. But you will understand what I mean when I tell you life is all here, baby. It's all a mental fucking game. So, you don't control your thoughts. That's another thing it's important to understand. As much as we want to believe we control this thing up here, you don't. You have to get that. You have to understand that. Figure it out. Understand what you need to understand about this shit and realize it ain't all you. You can influence it. You can throw suggestions in there. But you don't completely control it. So, one thing I didn't understand when I was in that depressive state, having those suicidal thoughts, is those thoughts weren't who I really was. Like I said, it was almost just a trap. It was almost there because I didn't have my purpose to focus on. So, like, I remember Benjamin Franklin specifically saying, all idleness. And you know what idleness is. It's when you sitting still. He said, all idleness comes or causes is the root of all trouble. Think about that for a minute. All idleness is the root of trouble. So think about that. Like, when you just chilling, like, I remember, I'm gonna go back a couple years, 10 years old. I'm chilling on the porch with some friends. We chilling. Somebody suggests we go throw rocks at the cars on the block. Why the fuck was we out there doing stupid shit? Idleness. It had nothing to do. Nothing to focus on. What was LeBron James doing at 10 years old? He wasn't throwing rocks at people's cars. I can guarantee you that with my life. He was focused, which is why he's where he is now. When you focus, you elevate almost above humanity, right? You reach this godlike state in that level of focus. And you feel like nothing can stop you. But as a 10-year-old, I was too busy throwing rocks at people's shit that they worked hard for. You know what I mean? Idleness. Not having nothing to do. Idleness leads to trouble. Find something to do. Find something to occupy your time with. Right? Because if you're not finding something to occupy, something positive and fulfilling to occupy your time, which I should say, if you're not doing that, you're going to wonder why you're still depressed. You're going to wonder why you're still suicidal. Right? But I'm not a doctor, so I'm not qualified to speak on certain practices you could take. I can only speak from a personal standpoint of what helped me and my mindset when I was, experiencing that. So, like I said, I just wanted to speak on this topic. It's been getting real heavy, and it's affecting the people closest to me, people that I love, and a part of me feel like, even though I'm making this video, there's still no hope. Like, those people just they won't understand, and I'm sorry. I pity them. I have sympathy for them, but the only thing I can do is keep going. That's it for this one, y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one.